Folks, welcome to week number 4 of Interpersonal Communications Online. It's really hard to believe, but as we get finished here, as we finish up week number 4, we will be officially halfway through the summer semester. It just always amazes me, and I don't know why it should, because I've been teaching summer classes for about 10 years, but it always amazes me how quick our summer classes go. Again, just a quick reminder that we are taking what is normally an 8-week semester, excuse me, a 16-week semester course, and we're condensing it down to 8 weeks. So if you feel like we're kind of working double time going through this material, we are. So hang in there. Again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to stay on top of our schedule. Make sure I've got the schedule up on your screen here. Do make sure that you post this somewhere, that you have those due dates inputted into your schedule system or whatever. I have been trying to send you out kind of reminders every time something is due, but I also want you to have a schedule so that you can be monitoring your assignments too. The number one reason that folks are not successful in my online courses is that they miss assignments, they miss due dates. And just a quick reminder, my policy is that I don't take late work unless it's an emergency situation. And most often I ask for some sort of documentation. So it's really important that you kind of keep up on everything and not miss assignments. Now that said, if you have an emergency, please let me know as soon as possible. You're going to find that I'm much easier to work with if you let me know as soon as the emergency happens before the assignment is due, instead of waiting until after the assignment and then say, oh, by the way, well, I didn't get the assignment due because I had this situation. So please contact me as soon as possible if you do have an emergency situation. And again, folks, I truly am not intending to be mean or harsh in my policy for late work. I do it just to be fair to everyone. If I tell one student, yeah, you can turn in your perception interview a day late or 2 days late or whatever, that's not fair to my students who really worked super hard and maybe stayed up until late at night to get their perception interview done. So I'm not trying to be mean or harsh or any of those things. I just have found it to be the best way to be fair to my students. So let's kind of look at our schedule here. Like I said, we are entering week number 4, which would be June 23rd through June 27th. We're going to be focusing on Chapter 5 and Chapter 6. Awesome chapters as far as good information to have in your toolbox. One other thing, I know up here in Chapter 4 you learned about language and just how important it is to just really craft your messages and choose the right words, and you learned about conciseness and all that good stuff when it comes to language. But one of the other pieces that is really important as a competent communicator is to be aware of your nonverbal messages. Nonverbal messages a lot of times carry a lot more weight than your verbal messages. So it's really important that you are aware of your body artifacts, your paralanguage, how you use personal space. All of that is a very, very strong communicator to other folks. And it's interesting, sometimes we will get a strange reaction or an unexpected reaction to folks, and we don't take into account that that might be based simply on our nonverbal communication. I always laugh with my students and say, when they come into class in the morning and I say, how are you today? And they go, fine. It's like, ooh, you're not fine. I can tell by the tone or the paralanguage of your voice that you're not fine. So it's important for us to be aware of that nonverbal communication, and that's what your discussion posting is on for this week, and I'll talk about that just in a minute. I've got a really interesting TED Talk that I'm wanting you all to watch and then respond to. The other chapter that we're doing this week is Chapter 6, which is all about effective listening. And I have to tell you, I'm a little bit prejudiced when it comes to this chapter, because I truly believe the most important skill that I could add to your toolbox to help you to be a competent communicator is to be a more effective listener. When I was an undergrad, my undergrad degree is in communications and business, and as part of my undergrad major in communications, I had to take an effective listening class. And I remember standing in line, and you have to remember, folks, I'm old enough that in those days you actually did queue up or get into line to sign up for your classes. We didn't do it online like you folks did. I remember we thought it was a huge advancement when I was in graduate school that we could actually call and register for our classes and not have to go to campus and stand in line. But anyway, so I was standing in line with a friend of mine who also was a communication major, and we were laughing about and kind of scoffing at this idea or this notion that we needed a class in listening, and how ridiculous was that? We could hear, wasn't that the same thing as listening? And I have to tell you, to this day, how many years, I'm sad to say 30 some years later, that has been my most favorite and most useful class that I took in all of my um, educational journey. So listening, I think, is really one of the most important um, skills that you can add to your toolbox. The main way that we show somebody that we respect them, that we care about them, is to listen to them. And I think our society today doesn't place enough emphasis on being effective listeners. All of us usually at some point in our education career, we take a public speaking class, we learn how to speak. We take a writing class, we learn how to write, but we just don't emphasize that whole part of being the listener or the receiver to that message. So both chapters I think are very good this week. I think you will get a lot out of them. Note that your discussion posting number 2 and 2 responses are due on Wednesday, June 25th, and then also note that quiz 5 and 6 are due on Friday. Just to peek ahead a little bit, the next week after that is our 4th of July holiday week. So notice that you have a discussion posting number 3 and quiz number 7 are all due on Wednesday. I did not place any due dates out on Friday because I wanted you all to get all that done early so that you could go and enjoy your 4th of July holiday. So this week, that's just kind of a preview to the following week, but this week number 4, discussion posting 2 and 2 responses are due on Wednesday, June 25th, and then quiz and 5 and 6 are due on Friday, the 27th. Before you complete discussion posting number 2, I really encourage you to go back and to read my comments on discussion posting number 1. And again, making sure that you have that you've applied at least 4 text concepts with definitions and page numbers to your discussion posting. Okay, so I'm going to move from our schedule here, and I'm going to go under table of contents of course materials, and I'm going to go back to our discussion posting rubric, because I just want to talk about that really quick as you're getting ready to do your second discussion posting. Discussion posting number 2 is again related to nonverbal communication. I have, and this is all under the discussion area too, folks, as well. I have a link out here to a TED Talk by Amy Cuddy, who is a social psychologist, and she's really got an interesting presentation on body language shapes who you are. And it's an interesting concept in that she really looks at does the way that we move our body, does the way that we present our body to others shape who we are and how we see ourselves. She talks a lot about power posing. She talks a lot about faking it until you make it. So can you project this image of how you want to be until you actually feel that way inside? And by faking it or projecting this image, does it then help you get to that point that you want to feel? So it's about a 20-minute, well, it's actually about 21-minute TED Talk. I am a huge fan of TED Talks. If you are interested while you are out on the TED Talk site, it's fun just kind of to poke around. There's just so many wonderful presentations out there. So after you watch the TED Talk, you're going to answer 2 questions. Do you agree with Amy Cuddy that you can fake it until you make it using nonverbal communication? Of course, there's no right or wrong answer here. I'm just looking for your ideas and for your insights. I do want you, though, to make sure that you are applying course concepts here. So make sure that maybe you're going to refer to space or artifacts or Maybe you're going to really talk about paralanguage, or you're going to talk about gestures or body orientation. But make sure that, for the whole posting, we're going to go review the grading rubric again. But make sure that that you've applied at least 4 text concepts in your answers to these 2 questions. And then question number 2 is, think of a communication experience in which you needed to consciously project a nonverbal image. How did you change your nonverbal communication in order to achieve your desired image? And again, I'm looking for you to apply course concepts here. So if we scroll down to the bottom of this, again, you see our discussion grading rubric. Each discussion posting, again, is worth 15 points. 10 points for your response to the discussion questions, and then 5 points if you respond to at least 2 of your classmates. So if you're looking to get an A, if you want to be over here in this 10-point or superior column, make sure that your initial posting is at least 100 to 150 words in length. I really encourage you to create your discussion posting in Word, where you can check your grammar, you can check your spelling, and you can actually do your word count in here too, so you know exactly how many words you have. Please do not attach your posting as a document. I highly encourage you to create it in Word, but then cut and paste it into the discussion writing box. And the reason for that, folks, is I just really want folks to read your discussion posting, and what I find is that if you attach your discussion posting as a document, the large majority of your classmates will not take the time to open your document. Plus, a lot of students are concerned about opening documents that might have viruses or might have something that could infect their computer. So please do not attach your posting, but instead cut and paste it. So here's what I'm looking for as we scroll down. I'm looking for you to display a clear and in-depth understanding of the reading, including 4 definitions from our text with the page numbers cited. I don't want you just to cite the definitions. I want you to actually apply them in your answer. This is how you display that you understand the text information. I want you to clearly address both questions. If you want to format your discussion posting with question 1, question 2, that's perfectly fine. I do want you to provide, of course, an original and thoughtful answer. I do want you to connect the ideas from various readings or experiences. And in this case, I'm asking you to connect the ideas from the TED Talk to the textbook and tie those together and explain to me how those 2 things relate. Of course, it needs to be written in your own words except for the definitions. And then do check for grammar or mechanical errors. That was one of the comments that I found myself making quite often with your first discussion postings, is that there were some grammar or mechanical or spelling errors or whatever. So again, please do. I know it's tough because you're in a discussion forum context, which naturally that context would, or normally that context would bring more of an informal writing style. But because this is a college level transferable course, you do have to stay in that collegiate writing style. So do make sure that you check for grammar or mechanical errors. And then do make sure that you respond to 2 other classmates. Remember that responses need to be 50 to 75 words in length at a minimum. So again, just kind of a review. I really encourage you to keep this grading rubric printed out, keep it next to you while you are writing your discussion postings, so that you can make sure that you are following the grading rubric. And then just a quick reminder again that everything that you do in this class has a grading rubric for it. So if you are ever wondering, well, what does she want me to do, or how do I do this, or what's required, know that there's a grading rubric. The grading rubrics are underneath each unit where where the related content is. And then at the bottom of content, if you go under table of contents, and you scroll all the way down to the very bottom of table of contents, there is assignment grading rubrics that are located here that have the discussion grading rubric, reception interview, manual, and film analysis. So they are tucked into the units where they are relevant, but then I also have them all listed in one place as well for you to look at and to work ahead. Remember, if you want to start working on your instructional manual, you are free to do that. You can really truly work at your own pace for this course, with the exception of responding to classmates. Obviously, you need classmates who have posted so that you have someone to respond to. Hang in there, folks. Keep chugging right along. Please know that I am here. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please let me know. I know sometimes online classes can kind of feel like you're floating out there on your own, and I truly don't want that to be your experience in my class. So keep me in the loop if you have any questions. In the meantime, have a wonderful week. Take care, folks.